She doesn't run from the camera. She doesn't fight the little outfits we put on her. She just sits there, completely still, and gives us that exact same look. Wide eyes, parted whiskers, head tilted just slightly, like she's asking a question she already knows the answer to. We call her Mochi, a cream-colored ball of fluff with eyes too big for her face, and a personality that decided, somewhere along the way, she was never just a cat. She was the baby of the house, and every single day she proves it all over again. Mochi came into our lives almost 2 years ago, a tiny puff of fur who fit in one hand. She had this round little face, folded ears, and a stare that seemed to study everything before deciding if it was safe. From the very first week, something was different about her. She didn't act like the cats we'd known before. Within days, she'd claimed the warmest spot on the couch and somehow made it feel like she'd always been there. She wanted to be held the way a baby wants to be held, tucked against a shoulder, face buried in a neck, completely limp and trusting. She didn't squirm, she didn't claw, she just melted into whoever was holding her, like she'd been waiting her whole life for exactly that moment, however long it lasted. Our neighbors found it strange at first. One of them actually asked if something was wrong with her, if maybe she'd been sick or unusually tired. We laughed every time. Nothing was wrong with Mochi. She was simply built differently, soft where other cats are guarded, open where other cats hold back. People who met her for the first time always said the same thing. She's not acting like a cat. And honestly, they were right. She greeted strangers at the door instead of hiding under the bed. She climbed into laps uninvited. She watched faces the way babies do, studying every little shift in expression like it meant something important. It started as a joke. My sister put a tiny bonnet on her one afternoon just to see what would happen. We expected a fight. We expected scratching, hissing, a quick escape under the couch. Instead, Mochi sat there, still, patient, staring up at us like she was waiting for instructions. That look became her signature. Every time we dressed her, a striped sleeping cap, a Santa hat by the Christmas tree, a little yellow dress with ruffled sleeves, she gave us that same expression. Not annoyed, not scared, just quietly present, like she understood this was simply part of being loved in this house. Even the pom-pom dangling from her bonnet didn't seem to bother her at all. She let us bathe her like a baby, tilting her chin up while warm water rinsed through her fur. She let us brush her teeth, sit her on towels, dress her in tiny outfits for no reason at all, except that we wanted pictures to remember her by. Even the loud whir of the hairdryer didn't bother her, as long as someone's hand stayed close. And through every bit of it, she never once tried to leave. Here's the thing people don't expect. Most cats would have bolted by now. Most cats would have hidden for hours after a bath, refused to come near anyone holding a tiny dress. Mochi did the opposite. She leaned in, she trusted completely. Even on her worst days, when the brush caught a tangle or the bonnet slipped sideways, she never once snapped or pulled away. And that trust became the quiet center of everything in our home. If you've made it this far, you clearly love stories like this one. Hit that subscribe button right now. It means more than you know, and there's so much more of Mochi's story still to come. What surprised us most wasn't that she tolerated the costumes, it was how she started anticipating them. The moment she heard the drawer where her little outfits were kept, she'd appear, sitting by our feet, waiting, tilting her head with that same patient stare, like she already knew what was coming and had decided somewhere in her small heart that she didn't mind at all. She started following whoever held the camera. She'd hop onto the bed when the lighting looked right, sit perfectly straight and hold still without being asked. Sometimes she'd even reposition herself if the first shot didn't seem quite right, as if she understood the difference. It wasn't obedience, exactly. It felt more like participation, like she understood these moments were ours together, and she wanted to be part of them. She learned our schedules without anyone teaching her. She waited by the door at the exact time my mother came home from work. She curled up beside whichever sibling was studying late, never asking for attention, just staying close, like her presence alone was the gift she had to give. One evening, after a particularly long day, my mother sat on the floor and just held her for almost an hour. No costume, no camera, just quiet. Mochi didn't move once. She pressed her small face into my mother's palm and stayed there, breathing slow, like she could feel exactly what kind of day it had been without anyone saying a word. That's when we understood. The bonnets, the dresses, the holiday hats, none of it was really about the outfits. It was about attention, about being chosen, picked up, looked at, and loved on purpose, again and again, every single day. The costumes were never the point. They were just an excuse we'd invented, without realizing it, to keep finding reasons to hold her close. There was one week, though, that worried us. Mochi seemed off. She avoided the costume drawer. She wandered away when the camera came out, tail low, ears slightly back. For a few days, none of us said it out loud, but we were all thinking the same thing. Had we pushed her too far? Had something we thought was sweet actually started to feel like a burden to her? We assumed she'd finally had enough. We put the outfits away and told ourselves we'd respect it, even if it meant no more pictures, no more little dresses, no more bonnets by the window. It felt like the right thing to do, even though something about the silence in those days felt heavier than expected. 3 days later, she walked into the living room dragging the little yellow dress in her mouth. She dropped it at my feet and sat down, staring up with that same patient expression, waiting. It wasn't the costumes she'd grown tired of. It was a smaller bond she'd been missing, being chosen for it, not just dressed for it. From that day on, we made sure to ask first. A soft voice, a gentle hand, a moment before each outfit instead of rushing straight to the camera. And every time, she gave us the same answer. She sat still, she looked up, she let us in. Some people will look at these pictures and laugh, and that's fine because they are funny. A cat in a sleeping cap staring at the camera like she's filing a complaint she'll never actually make. But underneath the humor is something simpler and quieter. A small animal who decided, somewhere along the way, that she belonged completely to the people who loved her. Mochi never learned to be a baby because we forced her into one. She became one because she wanted to belong that deeply, that fully to the family that chose her first. And maybe that's the real lesson hiding behind every funny outfit and every wide-eyed photo. We didn't set out to raise a cat who acts like family. She simply decided to become one quiet moment at a time. Love doesn't need to be loud. Sometimes it just needs to sit still and let itself be seen. Do you think cats like Mochi truly enjoy being dressed up, or are they just patient enough to let us have our fun? Tell me what you think in the comments.